Hey y'all, I'm Heather and welcome to my channel, The Debt Free Quilter. Have y'all ever made a mistake in your quilt? Like a blatant mistake? I know I have. Did you rip it out and fix it? Were you at a point you could rip it out and fix it? Let's explore that just a little bit. I have a few things that I've made some mistakes on and I had to fix them because it would have been very obvious. So let's go have a look at some mistakes and how I fixed them. First things first, this piece is in upside down. So the first thing I have to do is get out my seam ripper, rip apart the whole row, and fix it. But I did not disconnect that row from the rest of that corner piece. I ripped the blocks on either side and I ripped across the top so I could pull that one piece out, sew it back in, and then re-sew my seam. I've gotten to this corner and I'm moving very carefully with my seam ripper because there is quite a bit that comes together there. There's the other sashing units. There's the block I need to take out. There's individual pieces in that block that I don't want to mess up. Now I'm working on the other side of that sashing unit the same way I did the first side, working up towards the sashing strip that separates that row from the corner unit. Once again, I'm working slowly and carefully because I don't want to rip the fabric, and that can easily be done with a seam ripper. When I sew this back together, I'll also be fixing those seams that got flipped. And now I've gotten to that corner and I'm very carefully picking one thread at a time just so I don't mess anything up. Now I've finally gotten to the top of that sashing unit so I can just pick my way across the top there so I can flip it over and sew it back in and reattach everything. Alright, now I'm going to press this unit so that it's nice and flat again and I can just sew it back in. I'm picking some of the small threads that came from when I picked that unit out. Now I'm making sure I have it lined up right and I'm sewing it back in. Another seam tried to flip right there, so I took care of that. Getting a few more of those loose threads out there from picking my seam apart. Now I folded the unit into a wonky triangle type shape, and I am sewing this seam back together. And I'm back tacking here to make sure everything stays where I want it. And now it's time to reconfigure the unit so that I can sew the block strip back to the sashing unit. Give it a quick press to make sure those seams are nice and flat and laying how they're supposed to before I do so. Alright, I have got everything lined back up properly this time, and I'm finishing off that seam, making sure I give extra attention on either side of where I had to pick out that sashing strip, and just tucking it back in there and sewing it right back down. Now pressing it out one more time, and it is back to its happy self the way it should be. And now for this corner unit, everything is in the right place. Yay! For our next example, we'll be using a sashing strip where I completely forgot to add a unit section. I tell you what, the night I did this, I should not have been allowed near my sewing machine. This was not my first mess up of the night, and honestly, it wasn't the last either. I'm just glad I got it done and fixed. So to fix this particular issue, all I had to do was take out a couple of segments and add in the correct ones. So it really was a quick and simple fix and went really, really fast. So there's one side there with now the correct colorway, and I will be adding to the other side the other part of that colorway where it needs to be as well. Picking the seams takes a little bit of time and a lot of patience, but in the end, sometimes it's just best to go ahead and pick it out and sew it again and hope for the best. In sewing this, I'm wanting to make sure that I have good control of the seams. The ones that are on top are pressed inward and are more likely to flip over and give me problems. So I put that side on top, and the other side, the seams were pressed out, so they're not going to give me as much trouble. And now we can put the rest of the strip back together with the correct colors and move forward with the project. And honestly, this was a quick fix. It took 15 minutes probably. Well worth doing. Well, those are a couple of mistakes. Now I have another question for you. Have you ever run short of a fabric in your kit? Like you knew you still had enough there, but you had to be a little convoluted in how you got it? I know I have. Let's take a look at that. This is how to get some extra fabric out of cutoffs that are not quite the right size for what you need, but you can still get the right size if you cut it right. I'm measuring that triangle in the hourglass block because it is the same size as the one that I require. I put my finger on the mark, move that, put it on the rectangle, and move it along the 45-degree line down just a little bit and over to make sure my 45-degree line is sighted in right. I put my washi tape on to mark the corner so I know where I have to stop. I mark with my friction pin just to be safe, and then I cut the triangle off. And I repeat this to get as many triangles as necessary. Well, there you have it. There's a few mistakes that I made and I fixed, and I'm sure there's more to come. So, with that being said, y'all have a great day. Have a great week. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye!